You're crashing
I
out. Oh my God, you're crashing out. I don't know how to answer questions. Oh my God, just answer the question, lady.
you cannot. You're like a little petulant
Yes or
child.
no?
You're
Yes or no?
screaming and making these
I'm
silly
not
voices.
screaming. I'm holding you to account.
Today we are going to look at perhaps the worst brand ambassador for mentally healthy women, Taylor Lorenz, try to defend a female politician crying in the House of Parliament. Let's get into it.
I want to end. This was a bizarre moment last week in the House of Commons here in the United Kingdom. So, just for background, we have a woman called Rachel Reeves, who is the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. So, the second most powerful person in the British government, the treasurer, if you like, of the United Kingdom. And she did the one thing which I guess most women who had voted for her would have wished she hadn't done, which is that the weekly Prime Minister's questions with Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, she was openly crying in the background. Now, this followed a very bad week for the government, a very bad week for her. One of the signature policies that had to perform a big U-turn on. She apparently been seen having a blazing row with some colleagues and with the Speaker of the House. She then came out the next day grinning like a Cheshire cat, a little too much for my credible belief, and said that there was a personal issue going on, the details of which have not emerged, and I suspect they won't. Andrew, the problem I have with this is that I think a lot of women will have felt let down, that you finally get a female Chancellor of the Exchequer, and within a few months she's crying in the most high-profile televised moment of each week in the House of Commons, and it looks like it's just because she had a bad week.
Well, gee, who could have predicted this? Who could have predicted that women who are in positions of power may act overtly emotional just based on, well, even the hormones in their body? I am so stunned. I'm shocked. I can't believe that women everywhere are stunned and shocked that women, when they become very emotional, begin crying. It's no shock to me, of course. No shock to anybody else on
Let
this
me ask
panel.
Jedediah.
Inside of your leadership,
Jedediah, as a woman,
leadership scale, you should,
all right, Jedediah, as a woman, are you comfortable with what you're hearing from Angela?
I actually am comfortable with it, to be completely honest, because the truth is that men and women are different and we are emotional. And I kind of wear the fact that I have an emotional cycle that goes like this throughout the month, like we all do, like a badge of honor, because it's what makes me a woman. The thing is, you can't be in a leadership position and act like that. As an example, do y'all remember John Boehner? John Boehner was a disaster. He was always crying. So this is not exclusive to women. Let's just say that this can happen.
I totally agree. If this had been, look, I think if it had been a man, a male Chancellor of the Exchequer crying, he'd have got whacked even more.
Well, that's the difference, because if you remember,
Howard Dean got
Boehner
ran out for a scream. I mean, come on.
People were making fun of him all the time. He was
Howard Dean. I miss Howard Dean. Yeah. Just real quick, I want to make the point before we get to Taylor Lorenz screeching. I mean, Jedediah Bila is making the case for a difference between men and women, embracing her femininity, embracing her emotionality. I mean, listen, I know emotional men and I know very cold, emotionless women. I don't think either emotion is exclusive to a gender, but I just think it's so interesting. You see the two feminists on the right, Taylor Lorenz. I don't even know who that guy is. I don't want to know who he is. He has a book behind him called The Case for Cancel Culture. That's everything I need to know about this guy. But you see them dismissively. Jedediah Bila goes, actually, I don't have a problem with what Andrew says about women. I am emotional. And they're shaking their heads. Taylor Lorenz is going, of course. No, definitely you don't. I mean, if any man who is pro difference between the sexes, pro sort of traditional family values, was so condescending and so dismissive of a woman's opinion, they would immediately get cast as a misogynist. Oh, you're not respecting her. Let her speak. It's her turn. But because they're on the right team, they're allowed to be as dismissive and really disrespectful as they want. Anyway, let's keep going.
the laughing stock. The difference is here, a lot of people jump and make excuses. Well, she had a bad day. Honestly, I don't care that you had a bad day. You're in a leadership position. I mean, the bond market had a sell-off because this woman was crying. Yeah. These have real ramifications. So I think what Andrew's getting at is, listen, men and women are different. And it does beg the question, if we are naturally more emotional, and we are by nature.
Women are not.
We are.
No, they're not.
Listen,
yes, they are.
Look at how
we
yes,
are.
they are.
All right, Taylor, I have a...
Taylor Lorenz being the one to make the case that women are not inherently more emotional than men is like Joseph Stalin making the case that like Soviets are not inherently more murderous than the rest of the world. Like, what are we doing here? This is the girl that cried on MSNBC because, and you know what? Fair enough. MSNBC apparently deceptively edited the video to take out a part where she was talking about her family receiving death threats. But you can't be the person, if you're going to enter the public sphere, you got to take all the smoke. I get death threats to my inbox every day, and I have like a 1/10% of the Twitter followers that Taylor Lorenz does. You come in the arena, you're fair game, and you can't be crying about it on TV and then go make the case that you're not the more emotional sex, Taylor. You just can't do it.
Question for you, Taylor. If
That's silly, Taylor.
If Donald Trump's bottom lip began to tremble and he started crying on national TV, when he was addressing the Congress or something, I mean, come on, you'd absolutely murder him.
He's having tantrums every week. He's having emotional
meltdowns. He isn't crying.
Give me a break.
That's not the same thing.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump cry in public?
Okay, I'm not talking about crying.
We are talking about crying. This whole segment is about a woman in Parliament in a high position, the Chancellor of Exchequer, which is in charge of all of Britain's finances, crying. You can't just say, well, I'm not talking about crying. Everybody else is. That's the whole point. That's why you're wrong, bro.
Listen, here's the thing. Andrew does not like women having any type of emotion. Outside of nodding their head.
Here we go.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
He didn't actually say that. He said that. He said women. Ernest, hang on. He didn't actually say. Hang on. You're missing. Hang on. Stop talking, Ernest.
Ernest is looking like the most.
I'm acting like Andrew right now.
You missed. Hang on, Ernest. Stop talking for a moment.
You're acting like
all Andrew said was women are more emotional. He wasn't surprised, right? He wasn't sort of damning women for being emotional. He just said they are more emotional. Do you dispute that?
Yeah, well, and she actually said no, they're not. How would you ever even dispute this? It's objectively true that the hormone functions that are inside of women are different than the ones that are inside of men. That is objectively true in general. Can you point to some women who are more? Hang on. Can you point to an outlier of some women? Hang on. I'm almost done. Calm down. Can you point to some women? Can you point to some women and say that they're more emotionally stable? Sure, but on average.
Also, again, right? It just it pisses me off so much because they're both the person. Ernest and Taylor are babbling over Andrew, and he says, "Calm down," because they won't let him speak. And Taylor goes, you see how you're speaking to women? He's speaking to two people, a man and a woman. I think if anyone was talking over him, he'd say, hey, please let me finish. Calm down. Stop yelling at me. Whether you're a man or a woman. And she uses this victimhood shield of I'm a woman and you're speaking to me and I don't like it, so you're sexist. What are we doing here? Are we having real conversations as adults? Or are we just using these phrases, these get out of jail free cards? Oh, woman, victimhood, oppression, Nazi, the anti-feminist. Obviously, I'm fired up.
Women have far more emotional regularity than men do. In fact, they have one time of the month.
Taylor, would you say you're more emotional than your male colleagues when you worked with men?
Oh gosh, I've worked with men that have cried in my arms, and it's so funny for Andrew to say this.
Yeah, right.
Andrew,
those aren't men, honey.
Andrew is the one that is proud. Andrew is the one that is losing his mind on this panel, screaming and shouting and making fun and doing all these.
Screamed and shouted at anybody. What are you talking about?
Please
do you think that, like, if you just assert lies, that people who watch this aren't going to be able to see that they're clearly lies?
Right now, shouting over me. Listen to this. This is crazy. You have absolutely
That's not shouting. That's not
well,
shouting.
Taylor, let me ask you this.
I think those fruit earrings are hurting your brain, lady.
We can do this for a second, woman to woman, Taylor, because I will say to you, Taylor, there is no question about it that when you look at Taylor, when you look at a man, his testosterone is pretty steady. His whether you like it or not, his hormones are steady. That's what comprises a man. When you look at our hormones, they do this naturally. That's why we have a cycle. That's why we have the beautiful gift of being able to make babies. That's what makes women women. So yes, there can be an outlier over here and there. John Boehner, I use the example of John Boehner, but it's very, very safe to say that in general, women are more emotional than men. And that does beg the question then, if women are in leadership roles where there are serious ramifications like a bond market sell-off, if that woman is seen crying, is that a good look overall for the country? The answer is no. Now, we can sit and have a debate over whether women should be in positions of power or not, but we can't have a debate over whether women are more emotional because hormonally, that's just a fact.
Taylor?
Not her, but her colleagues are crying in her arms, though. They're crying in her arms.
I mean, yeah, I had a colleague that cried after something horrific happened.
That's
I mean,
not
we
what
witnessed.
you said. You said that I've had men. You made it sound like men were coming to you and falling to pieces, and they were more emotional.
I said I had a male colleague cry in my arms. I've witnessed somebody die.
First of all, she didn't say I had a male colleague. She had male colleagues. Play back the tape. She said plural. Now she's moving the goalposts. Oh no, one guy had a really bad day, horrible
in
thing
front of my
happened.
face at my job because
And
I'm
do
a
you
journalist.
think,
That's
though,
that's
that
not the
men
same
are more
thing.
emotional?
Also,
Yeah,
Taylor,
I know. It's
you're
so
not a
ridiculous.
journalist.
You're straw man.
Absolutely.
Is it the case
glorified
that
blogger.
you, when you work with other men, that you're generally more emotional than them or not? That's the question.
Listen to you crash out. Talking
Well, I
about
don't know why you won't answer. Why can't you answer
But
the
is it
question,
true?
lady?
Just answer it.
shouting like a little
Yeah, just
child.
yes or no. You're crashing
I-
out. Oh my God, you're crashing out. I don't know how to answer questions. Oh my God, just answer the question, lady.
Talking about how women are more emotional as you are.
Are
literally
you more emotional than your male colleagues generally or not? Can you answer yes or no? That would be great.
Personalities and voices are we going to get on
Are
this?
you ever going to answer the question?
I've answered it many, many times to say once
Okay,
again.
so yes or no would be great.
You cannot. You're like a little petulant child.
Yes or no?
You're
Yes or no?
screaming and making these silly
I'm not
voices.
screaming. I'm holding you to account. Me talking
like,
is not
is it yes or
screaming.
no?
You ignoramus. Yes or no?
I think look at the example right here on this panel. That Andrew is absolutely
Still not
losing
answering the
his-
question, lady. Answer the question,
Women are
lady.
not
Answer the
inherently
question,
more-
lady.
See how you keep calling me lady? You won't call me by my name
Just
because
answer
you
the question. I don't remember your name. Why am I supposed to remember your name? Answer the question. Can you
Anyway,
answer the
my
question?
Oh my God.
this
The
is crazy.
hubris.
Women are not
Yes or
inherently.
no?
Women are
They're
not
not. You're
inherently.
saying so
She's
you're
saying
not just
women are not
honoring biology.
inherently angry.
Oh,
That's
by
what
the
she's
way.
saying. Are you not hearing what she's saying?
It's not.
You want her to
Yeah.
speak the way you want to speak, but she
Wait a
answered your
second. I'm
question.
sorry.
All right, let me
No,
ask
she's
Taylor a
answering
different
my
question. All right,
question.
hang on.
All right. Go ahead to Derek because it could go. I mean, I could watch them bicker for 45 more minutes, but I think it's very telling the way that Taylor Lorenz refused to answer the question and relied purely on ad hominem and emotional arguments, emotional attacks, saying, I mean, blatantly lying about the guy's volume. You're yelling. They're in my ears right now. If he was yelling, you would have seen me recoil, just repeatedly relying on essentially emotional arguments. And I'll be honest, I have a little bit more of a nuanced view on the emotionality of the genders, especially today when all people are doing all sorts of chemicals. Everyone's doing drugs. People are highly caffeinated. I think the hormone imbalances in both sexes in this country and in the Western world are a far more complex issue than just women are more emotional than men. But the argument here should be, should women be held to the same standard as men or a moderately lower one if they're crying in Parliament? It's indefensible. And I think they're totally correct. If a man was crying in Parliament, he would get hit over the head even harder. The media would be even... The bond sell-off that England had, the UK had after the Chancellor of Exchequer was crying, I think it would have been a full-out like Great Depression level if Keir Starmer was the one crying, or Rishi Sunak, the previous Prime Minister, was crying. Mind you, bond market sell-off, I believe the last time they had one that bad was when Liz Truss, the last female Prime Minister, 2 Prime Ministers ago, just completely tanked the economy. I believe she was the shortest-lived Prime Minister in the country's history. I think there are great female leaders out there. Tulsi Gabbard is one of them. I think there are great female executives in this country. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is doing great things in Arkansas. Like being emotional does not preclude you from being a good leader, and being a woman does not preclude you from being a good leader. But you can't be crying in public if you're running a country. You just can't do it. Anyways, folks, that's what we got for you today. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy this content, share it with your friends. Subscribe on YouTube. We are growing. We are grateful for you guys. See you next time.